Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News on this Monday recap. And we are going to do a little bit of a political segment.
Let's get it on!
And thank you so much for joining us here this morning. We have a special guest. His name is Hernando Arce. And I'm going to bring him here on stage so he can continue to introduce himself and let us know what he's doing in the community. Good morning, Hernando. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Hopefully, I didn't butcher your last name too bad.
No, you did a great job. Thank you for having me on your show, Unfiltered Vision News.
Yes, yes, yes. And I hear you are an independent journalist in
Hmm.
Texas. Okay.
Correct.
All right. I've seen some of your videos and I'm like, I like it. You're raw, uncut. It's great. But yes, tell us a little bit more about you.
Hmm.
Where people can follow you and find the news that you're reporting independently, and then we'll get into a topic of your choice.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, my name is Hernando Arce, and I'm originally from New York City. I born and raised in Queens, New York. And 10 years ago, I got to the point where my neighborhood, I didn't recognize it anymore. I felt like the foreigner in my own home country, in my own hometown. And so I picked up my bags and moved to Texas, thinking that it was uh, more of a better place to live. And just to find out that during the Biden regime, uh, 5 miles from my house, there was a intake center for illegal aliens. So I picked up my iPhone 13 and started recording every day at the processing center and documenting the invasion of our country. So that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years.
Wow. And thank you so much for your service in doing that, because sometimes it's not always safe doing it. You know what I'm just saying.
Mm,
You can be caught up in some strange things, but it's very sad because, a lot of people say Texas is a red state, and it may
mm,
be red at the state and federal level, but at the local level, that's where
mm.
really everything happens on the day to day. And a lot of those are democratic policies. And I don't think people actually realize that.
That's 100% true. Texas legislation in the state level is a little bit more conservative red, but there are a bunch of rhinos in there as well. Unfortunately, the cities like Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio are run by Marxist, communist, socialist, whatever you want to call them, and that's what we're seeing here in San Antonio. We just elected another socialist type of mayor just last week.
Wow. And I
Mm.
mean, San Antonio is a beautiful city. I've only driven through it, because I've made a few treks between Georgia and California. I like to drive. It's a beautiful drive, though. But it's really sad, you know, how it has changed, to your point, because, I want people here legally so they're not abused. And I think that's the
Mm.
one dark side of immigration that nobody really talks about, right? How a lot of these people
Mhm.
are trafficked, men and women and children.
Mhm.
And, you know, beyond that, we really don't have our political figures, right? And people serving in these positions upholding the law. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, when it comes to immigration, we have to look back in history, back to Ronald Reagan days when he gave 3 million illegal aliens amnesty in return for a wall, a physical wall, and e-verify for work authorization. We got the 3 million illegals, but we never got the wall. Bush too did a partial job of a 4-foot fence wall on a small part of the fence of the southern border. Uh, and e-verify is a joke today. E-verify doesn't work. So when it comes to politicians, you have to understand that the D never wanted a secure border because they were hoping to get these people to come and vote, which they have done the last 4 years, millions and millions of them. And the Republican Party never wanted the wall or security because they wanted the cheap labor for the Chamber of Commerce.
Wow. And that's the sad part, because I know people jump back and forth from party to party. expecting to get a different result, right? But insanity is what it is. Right. I mean, it is what it is. It's like, okay, we keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a
Mm,
different result. And we're not getting one because we're doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, I've seen a lot of these politicians, just like Karen Bass, she did serve in the Senate and now she's a mayor. So she's kind of, I guess, playing out what she wanted to happen in Congress at the local level, and people are suffering for it.
mhm. Yeah, California is an interesting state. They're the incubator to experiment on what's going to happen to other states. So California has taken the lead with illegal immigration. You can see, like you were mentioning earlier on your show, with Los Angeles, no, it's a no-go zone. That is, you see how they treat law enforcement, throwing rocks and stones at their windows. It's just utter unlawless over there, and so it's really disgusting what I've seen the last few weeks, how they treat law enforcement.
Yeah, it is sad. And the good thing about it is I know that Trump is trying to, well, not trying to, they gave the
Hmm.
money in the big, beautiful bill. And so what
Mm,
ICE is now trying to do is actually do enforcement of people that are trying to impede ICE from doing their job. Because I was actually talking about it. I was like, they need like a whole separate division just to like deal with
mm,
people impeding the arrest because I
mm.
mean, in Texas, unfortunately, they just had a shooting with ICE agents, and that individual was arraigned, I think, sometime this week or last week from what they
Mhm.
did, trying to take an ICE agent's life.
Mm.
And it's scary.
Yes, the big beautiful bill is going to offer more funding in the billions of dollars, and hopefully it'll go to more uh, immediate enforcement removal (ERO) division, which is the ones that
Yeah.
are going out there and physically removing these illegal aliens. There's only
Yeah.
6,000 of those in the whole country, so we need probably
Wow.
more like 12 or 20,000 of those.
Yeah, because I found it interesting that Iran, they were able to, in 15 days, remove 500,000 people. They did this in
Mm,
Iran.
mm,
Okay. I think we have a little bit more technology than Iran. And we got our acting director of ICE, he's talking, but he's like, we can get 1 million people a year. I'm like, bro,
mm,
you need to call Iran and you need to figure out what they did. 500,000
mm,
people in 15 days. Look, the things that we could get done if we are at that level, but they actually take care of people at these ICE facilities. You know what I'm saying? They're just not rushing them through. They are making
mm,
sure people get their due process before they
mm,
return to their home country. But in some of the videos I was playing, a lot of these people who've been deported and they're on orders of deportation, they keep coming back.
mm.
That means it's easy for them to get back here. And that's the part, in my opinion, that needs to stop. I'm not sure where you're at with that.
Well, yeah, if you look at the numbers, if we step back, the amount of illegal aliens that had their due process, there's over 1.5 million immigrants in our country today that have given their due process, that have been through the judicial system, have been given final removal orders that have not left. And so this is the ones that they're going after. And that's a lot of people to go after. I've
It
been
is.
documenting at the courthouses, and I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
watching these immigrants go to their court appearances. And what I'm seeing, it disturbs me too in terms of the numbers in San Antonio. It's first of all, the dockets for the courthouse for the court hearings are very low. Usually, it's 1 to 3, maybe six court appearances per session. There's a morning session and an afternoon session. And when I interview the illegals coming out, they're getting extensions from 1 to 3 years. It's called a
Wow.
proceedings of hearing. And
Okay.
so I would say 7 out of 10 of these illegal aliens are getting extensions. And so I think the DOJ and the Trump administration is working on that because they just fired about 103 DOJ administrative judges that does the immigration hearings. And so there's a lot of activist judges out there that are just keep giving it extensions until the Trump administration ends. That's what I'm seeing.
Wow. And that's sad. It's like, how in the world are you going to advocate for illegal activity and you're a judge? But to your point, that shows the activism from the bench, even, almost to the point of legislation from the bench, which is really sad. I'm a
Hmm.
paralegal, so you know, stuff like that interests me. I kind of geek out on it, which is sad.
That's great.
It is
There you
what it
go.
is. But thank you so much for being a boots on the ground. Now, I want to change course a little bit. I did see
Mm,
that you had a video regarding Epstein when you used to
mm,
live in New
mhm.
York. I wanted to know if you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, sure. I mean, that's like the old saying, 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon. That's just like a saying, right?
Right.
Except mine is more like a 1 degree or 2 degree of separation with when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, in the fact that in the mid 1990s, when I lived in New York, my mother, she owned a yellow taxi cab, and I drove the cab, and during my college days, and we found out, my partner and I, we started a magazine, a publication for the industry, which is a $1 billion industry in New York City.
Wow.
So we started a magazine. It's called Taxi Magazine, and we did very well. Within 6 months, we needed office space. So we rented out an office space in a loft in Soho. We didn't know who he really was until now, right? But
Wow.
he was the brother of Jeffrey Epstein. His name was Mark Epstein, and he lived right above my head in my office space for many, many years. And I've got many, many stories to share with the public, which I haven't really publicly shared it with anybody yet. So you could be the first one.
Wow. Wow. It sounds like it's going to be a great book. You don't have to share everything with me. I'm just saying, you capitalize on this, right? look,
Yeah.
look,
Yeah,
we got to
really.
make money any way we can in this economy. It's crazy, sir.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if I want to write a book about it, but it's just coincidence that he was my landlord, and
Wow.
a lot of
But I
interesting things
think,
happen.
but what do you think about the Trump administration? I mean, it's interesting,
Mm,
the deeper they go with this whole Epstein thing. And I was watching Alex Jones yesterday, and I was like, wow, you know, what's in the files, what's not in the files. But my whole question has always been, at the end of this, what do people really want to see happen, right,
mm,
for the people involved? Because if he's passed away, right, as they say, he's no longer with us. We've got Maxwell, who's in prison, that now they're questioning, the legitimacy, right? Can
mm,
she get out? But at the end of this,
mm,
what do people really want to see happen to all these people that were possibly involved?
mm. Well, it's a good question. I mean, this the statute of limitations go in effect, don't they? After 10,
Yeah.
15 years, depending on what
Mhm.
state you're in.
Right.
I think it's more, yeah, I think the public is upset with the Trump administration because, he used this towards his campaign, that he was gonna go after these people. And I think what makes people most upset is that there's two tiers of justice. For me, anyway, that's what gets me upset. That these people that possibly committed crimes that are not gonna see justice.
Right, right. So it's one of those things, promises made, and you want promises kept, right?
Right.
You don't want to get brushed off when you're right at the pinnacle.
Mm,
And for me, it seems like it's a gateway into other industries that are still committing this type of abuse,
mm,
especially within the entertainment industry. We've got the recent case with P. Diddy, and they kept trying to juxtapose P. Diddy to Epstein. And I was like, okay, P. Diddy did not have an island. Okay, let's just start there.
mm,
Did not have an island.
mhm,
But when you look at some of the crimes possibly committed, allegedly and unallegedly, and
mm,
found, you know, we're going to see what kind of conviction he gets. But I'm like, okay, if you convict him, well, what about everybody else?
mhm.
I'm just saying.
Right. Exactly. I mean, what caught my interest with P. Diddy and Epstein is that in both situations, the FBI and these CIA agencies, they went into P. Diddy's homes and they got all the evidence.
Right.
Uh, and I think that was the goal, was to get all the evidence of these powerful people, celebrities,
Hmm.
politicians, and then
Yep.
keep them in a vault. And of
Hmm.
course, they charged them later on for RICO, which didn't stick. But I think they got their agenda accomplished by taking all those evidence.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely see that angle because,
Mm,
to your point, there were people that were involved, high level, people high profile, right?
Hmm.
And some of them we know, we everybody's seen the flight logs of Epstein's, and people, outwardly seen people at P. Diddy's party. So we kind of know who you are because you were proud of this. I'm just saying, you weren't
Hmm.
hiding from it. You were very proud of it. And now we can just assume that, yeah, you're trash. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want to be sitting in the same room with you. I don't want to buy tickets to your concert. Like, now that we know who you are and the veil has been removed, my whole thing with the general public is, okay, what do you do with this information? What do you really want out of this?
Hmm. Yeah. That those flight uh, dockets, they're all public information. Just there's a website. So I've scrolled
Yeah.
down and I've seen all those names and celebrities and
Yeah.
Donald Trump's brother, who was, by the way, he died like 3 months before the election of 2024.
Yeah.
Uh, his name was on that list as well, Donald Trump's Jr.'s brother. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of questions to ask. Who knows if we'll ever get the truth.
Yeah. Because see, for me, that wasn't something I voted for. I didn't care. I was just like, he's trash. Because again, if you're gonna bring him down, you got to bring down everybody else, and you're not. I'm sorry.
Hmm. Right.
maybe I'm just a little bit over it. But I'm like, I voted for the economy.
Right.
I
Right.
voted for a closed border.
Mm.
I voted for, what I would like. I'd like to see the border closed administratively, at least for the next 10 years, so that we have the ability in this country to establish how we move forward with immigration, right? We don't want people coming here being undercut with wages because that affects everybody else in the country. That's not
Mm.
what we want. We want law and order, period. So I'll let you have last
Mm.
words.
Well, thank you. Well, listen, we won the battle, but we haven't won the war yet. We won the battle and we got Donald Trump into the White House. We have the securest border in the history of our country. People are
Mhm,
still coming in
mhm,
averaging about 10,000 a month. The media is not going to tell you this. They do get inside, but then the majority of them are being returned back to Mexico. Only for small exceptions are they being allowed to enter, especially if they just claim for asylum. There are over 4 million cases of asylum seekers applications right now in the judicial system that is backlogged. And that's done on purpose. That's just like a Cloward Piven strategy, is
mhm,
to break the system down and then bring
mhm,
in your socialism theories. But
mhm.
yeah, I would say the last words is that we have not won the war. We have to. There's a lot of enforcement removals that needs to be happening today, and going after these people in the workplace is important because that's going to scare a lot of other people to leave, and so it has a tripling effect, and so we need to keep pressuring these illegals to self-deport.
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much for being on. And if you ever have any breaking news that you would like to share with us, with our audience, please let us know. And definitely follow Hadara RC on X. And he is at his first and last name all together on X. So make sure you guys give him a follow, subscribe to his channel because he's definitely got some great content out there to share with us. And some of the information that you just shared, we're not hearing this in mainstream
Mm,
media. And this is partly why I started my show. Because I was like, some of this stuff
yeah.
you don't even hear on Alex Jones either. And I watch
Mm,
Alex as
yeah.
well, Stu Peters. Sometimes I'll get Roland Martin in there because there's some information that he has, even though sometimes it's kind of hard to listen to. It's still
Mhm.
information that's not really getting out to the general public. So I wanted to just thank you so much for coming on again for our
Mm.
political segment. And like I said, anytime you want to come back on, just let me know. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, doctor. Have a good day.
All right. Yeah, so that was cool getting to have Hernando on and really getting his perspective on the ground. Like 4 million, you guys. Come on. I really think they're going to try to push um, for amnesty again. As much as I know Tom Homan doesn't want it, I know Trump says he doesn't want it, but I truly think they are trying to flood the zone in a way and do what they did before with Reagan and just say there's just too many people. We're so overwhelmed. You know what I mean? Like they want to make all these excuses to do this again? The answer is no. As the American public, like, I don't know if we need to get t-shirts made, if we need to start running commercials saying no amnesty, but we need to start a campaign for real, and saying no amnesty. No, we will not go back. We will not do it again because we unfortunately let in a lot of bad people the first time. That's why people are able to do what they're doing now. Why do you think it's so easy? Because they got people in place, because they did this the first time. And when you have mayors like Karen Bass, who is it? The mayor in Brandon Johnson in Chicago, when you have the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, even though he's tried to change course, right? He still allowed illegals into his city, and just as Hernando was saying, in San Antonio and even in Austin, at the local level, they are flooding our country with illegal activity. And they're, like I said, they're trying to just wait it out. Just like Hernando was saying, they're just trying to wait it out to see if they can get amnesty. Nope, we need to go on a whole no amnesty campaign.